Preparing for the day of wrath. What should we be doing? The times ahead appear to be like a gathering storm, and many people are growing fearful and hoping to store food, water, and various supplies, even weapons, so they can survive the horrors that may soon come upon the world. A question in this regard was asked. Someone told me that in a few years we should come into a very rough time, that we have to prepare ourselves for that time, and that we have to begin to practice a sort of survival life. Are you well informed of it? And if not, do you have another explanation? If you have time, please answer me. Answer from Scripture. I know there are many people who are very concerned about being prepared, and there is some advice in Yahuwah's word that warns us to prepare for approaching evil. The day that is rapidly approaching for the destruction of the unrighteous is truly going to be catastrophic. However, we are not to be destroyed in this wrath, but rather changed in the twinkling of an eye. Our hope is not in our armor flesh or what we can prepare beforehand, but rather we look forward to the hope of being clothed with immortality. And all the physical preparedness we try to store away for the day will be of no use to us whatsoever. We must put our efforts in teaching others to get into the covenant for their salvation, not store away water, blankets, and food. This is simply my viewpoint, and I certainly mean no criticism of those who are preparing for the day of Yahuwah in a different way. Yahushua told us to be anxious for nothing, for each day has enough trouble of its own. Tomorrow is going to have troubles, and the next day. But we should focus on the day we are living in and leave worrying about tomorrow for that day. What if we had stored water, blankets, tools, and food, and then had to flee quite suddenly? Most likely we could only carry a small amount, and if the trap closes on the world suddenly, we have been told to not go back and get anything from our house. Our trust needs to be in Yahushua alone, and He will feed and clothe us if we are in need of those things, especially in the day of wrath. His wrath is not for us, and we must focus on working to bring others to the light of His word, Torah, so that they will not be caught in the fire that is about to consume the earth. That is the best way to prepare for the time ahead. Psalm 27, verse 5. For in the day of evil He hides me in His booth. In the covering of His tent He hides me. On a rock He raises me up. Proverbs 22, verse 3. A clever one foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple go on and are punished. Some balance has to be found between these two verses. Our priority is to be fruitful. If we are killed, we are those found under the altar at Revelation 6, verses 9 through 11. And when He opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the beings of those having been slain for the word of Elohim, and for the witness which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Master, set apart and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? And there was given to each one a white robe, and they were told that they should rest a little while longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brothers who would be killed as they were completed. Revelation 6:9 through 11. One day Yahuwah shall make known who is his and who is dedicated to him. He has warned us and given us notice over and over again in many languages. When we see those around us start to burst into flames because Yahuwah has created what is unheard of, then we all shall know that these men and women have scorned Yahuwah. This was from the Besorah. What Father has put in my own heart is to continuously encourage his people to read and study his word for themselves, as well as to listen to his Spirit as he teaches us through others. If we are full with the word, that is our foundation that is built on like a rock, a cornerstone, and not on the sin that anything comes, a water comes, a wind comes, it just blow or wash it away. But if it is built on a strong foundation, then we are prepared for the day of wrath. So fill yourself as much as you can with the word of the living God of Israel, and let his word be your refuge and your defense. Encourage people to stay in his word, to live in his word, to walk in his word, to bathe in his word, to sing in his word, to worship in his word, to pray in his word, because his word is him. May his blessings be upon you, and know that Father knows how to prepare us for the day of wrath. What should you and what should we be doing in the meanwhile? Taking the message to the nations. Shalom.